po sa inyo lahat and welcome to Veronica segment of this show. Today, I have a very young, good-looking gentleman who will be talking to us about chronic pain and how to treat it. I'm one of those people who suffer from chronic pain, and Mr. Eric Owens is here to talk to us about this exciting kind of pain therapy.
Yes.
Welcome to our
Thank you.
show.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Because me and my friends, some of my friends suffer from chronic pain at this age. Well, anyway, uh, um, we are going to be talking about Delos pain therapy. And my first time to hear it, but talking to Eric between before the show, he this sounds so exciting, and I'm really very excited to bring it to your attention, and you pay a lot of attention because this is something different. Hi, Eric. The Delos therapy treatment. What is it all about? I know your dad was the one who developed
hmm
this. Can you please tell our viewing audience what is this all about?
Yeah, I would love to. I would say in medicine, chronic pain and stiffness is one of the most common medical complaints. Everybody at a certain age feels really stiff. They wake up, their back is stiff, and they don't know what to do about it. Even athletes are feeling stiff with access to the best trainers. Well, my father was an athlete, but he was also a great engineer that suffered for years with lots of chronic pain, lots of stiffness, and was frustrated by the lack of results he got with conventional medicine. He was seeing a lot of the best physicians at MD Anderson, and nobody had any really good answers or solutions for him. And so, being an engineer and really great at problem solving, he basically turned his body into an engineering project out of desperation for a solution to figure out what was going on. The first major observation he made is that around any area that hurt, any joint that felt stiff, the muscles were really, really hard, very, very tight. In other areas of his body, the muscles were very soft. So he knew there had to be a muscular component, but he had no medical training. He had no training in anatomy, but he knew that this was a distinct difference. He went and had MRIs, CT scans, and x-rays, and everybody told him his muscles were completely normal. That's when it clicked. Whatever was happening pathologically inside of that muscle was not showing up on imaging. That's when he started exploring alternative means like stretching and sports massage and acupuncture, acupressure, rolfing, many, many different things. And he found something interesting. Anytime a practitioner applied direct pressure right into that muscle, it seemed to be effective, but it was combined with a lot of traditional gliding techniques, like traditional massage techniques, which he found ineffective for his specific condition. So that was the second major observation. So using that engineering process, he decided, I'm going to apply pressure in multiple directions into my muscles and see what happens. And he noticed that that material, whatever it was, he didn't know what it was, it broke up. It would soften up. And the muscles went from a very stiff state to a very healthy and pliable state. To make a long story short, he ended up fixing his own body. And I think he was shocked that a guy with no medical training at all but an engineering background could completely reverse all of this tightness and live a completely normal and healthy and movement, a life full of movement. But some of the best specialists that he saw had no answers. So he ended up quitting his job in the mid-1980s and opened up a pain clinic and eventually was treating Evander Holyfield, Carl Lewis, the Olympic track team, 30 of the Houston Oilers. Yeah, I grew up around all of these pro athletes, and I remember the team physicians getting very upset that they were going to an engineer for their injuries, but all they could say was their bodies never felt better. So it inspired me to get a little bit more education, go to graduate school, and learn the mechanism from a biochemical and a cellular perspective of what we're actually doing to the tissue. And we're helping tons and tons of people.
So your father was really your teacher
Oh, yeah.
in this Delos therapy. Did you work together at all in treating patients?
We did. I
Or-
mean, I was young. At that stage of my life, I was a professional table tennis player. So I was on the national team. I was living at the Olympic Training Center. I was traveling all over the world being on the national team. So I was busy traveling. But being an athlete, athletes have injuries, athletes feel stiff. I was getting a lot of the conventional treatments. I was getting the foam rollers and getting stretched out by trainers. I never found any of that really effective. But if I ever came back to Houston and I had a little bit of therapy, and I didn't even take it that seriously because I was, a teenager. My father was really working on his business, but as a teenager, I didn't pay much attention to it. But I knew when I would come home and I would be stiff from, months and months of training in China or
and
whatever.
he would treat you.
He would treat me, and I could not believe how much better I felt, how much quicker I recovered. My flexibility increased, my power increased, my strength increased. And as you get a little bit older, you start to appreciate those things. And I remember patients, so I would come in and there'd be some patients in walkers and very old and very stiff, and I would go away and I would come back, and I swear I would see the same patients walking out. And it always amazed me. And as I got a little bit older, I realized he's onto something. He really discovered something pretty unique. And I think he was actually lucky to not have any medical training because he looked at things from a completely unbiased and original
Layman's.
perspective. Yeah, from an engineering perspective. And he didn't even know what was happening, but he broke it down from a mechanical engineering perspective and really discovered something amazing.
So you turn from a pro athlete of table tennis to Delos
Co-founder, yeah,
co-founder
yeah,
and teacher.
yes.
Wow, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I always knew that I would go into the business. Like I would say, my father is a brilliant troubleshooter. He's a brilliant engineer, but his passion wasn't business. And to run a successful company, you have to have the science, but you also have to have the business side. And he had a lot of trouble with the business side. So I knew eventually when I retired from table tennis, I would need to team up with a business-minded individual. And what's funny about that was when I played professional table tennis, I had a coach, and he had a daughter. She was probably 15 or 16 years old or so, and she used to manage some of the training camps. But what was interesting about her was she would organize everything, and she was like, you need to go here, and you need to go here. And she was very strict and very operations-oriented, even as a teenager. And we used to joke when we were friends that whenever I retired from table tennis, or we both retired from table tennis because she was a player as well, that I would go into the therapy side of things and she would run the business side of things. And 25 years later, that's exactly what happened.
That was 25 years ago.
Yeah, we were teenagers. Yeah, and she went on to get her
MBA.
MBA.
Young. You look like you passed your teen years.
43. The therapy keeps you young.
Oh,
The therapy
really?
keeps you, yeah, of
All
course.
right. That's another good topic to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I study a lot of anti-aging and longevity, and a lot of the experts and medical specialists that are really trying to extend our lifespan. Every single one of them say that some type of myofascial therapy is incredibly important for your body. Myofascial, muscles and fascia. And there is no better myofascial therapy than what we do. And these are independent experts that are saying your muscles, when they get tight, it affects blood flow, it affects lymphatic flow, it affects nutrition, hydration, movement, it affects so many other systems that we haven't even connected yet because it's a relatively new science. In medical school, the very first thing you do when you examine anatomy is you remove the fascia. Let's get rid of this stuff because it's not important. Well, it turns out that stuff is incredibly important. And as the research is coming out, it's showing how important it is as an independent system and how it's connected to other systems. And you have to keep that system healthy.
Where did you get the name Delos? I'm
Yeah.
wondering because
A lot of people think it's my last name.
yes,
I get that's
yes,
a common
you're
question.
Owens.
Yeah,
Why
so it is
Delos?
not my last name. So my father was a big fan of Greek mythology. And in Greek mythology, Delos is the island of healing, where Apollo was born, where the most advanced physicians practiced. And he felt like this insight that he received into muscles and fascia was a gigantic leap forward with understanding these systems. And that's how he came up with the name, and so we're carrying on the work.
Oh, very, very interesting. What I know about Spanish word for Delos is them, Delos.
Okay.
plural. Anyway, can you please explain further about muscle pliability, just like was you referred to NFL pro Tom Brady?
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting to me because, my father was talking about muscle pliability in the 70s, especially in the 80s. Far, far, far ahead of his time. And now that Tom Brady is talking about muscle pliability, everyone's hot on the subject, which is great. If you Google muscle pliability, Tom Brady comes up. I want Delos to come up, but I'm glad that people are now having the conversation. So, what is muscle pliability? The key thing to understand is that a muscle should be very soft, very spongy, okay? When you flex, the muscle's hard. When you relax, a muscle's soft. What you'll
Yes.
almost always notice around an area that hurts or feels stiff or even a joint that has limited range of motion, feel the muscles around the joint. Feel the muscles in the area where the patient's saying, I feel very stiff. The muscles will be rock hard in a relaxed state. It's completely lost its muscle pliability. That is connective tissue or fascia buildup inside of the muscle that's not showing up on MRIs or CT scans or x-rays. So it's getting missed diagnostically. I can't tell you how often I have patients that come in and they say, my back is so stiff and the imaging came back normal and we don't know what to do. Right? There's a massive muscular problem right there, but it's not showing up on the imaging. The three most common things I hear all day in my clinic for patients coming in, we're seeing 70 to 80 patients a day. Most of them are coming in saying, I'm stiff, I'm stretching, I'm foam rolling, and I'm getting deep tissue massages. I don't think those three things really significantly change the inside of a muscle. Here's why. Rock hard muscle tissue, muscles that are bound together, they don't move, they don't pull apart. When you stretch, you're actually only stretching the healthy, soft part of the muscle, the part of the muscle that's pulling apart. That's really great. You should do that. But you're stretching around the tightness. And the tightness is deeply embedded inside that muscle. So you can imagine going across the top of the muscle with a deep tissue massage or a foam roller. You're not even touching this. At best, you're compressing the tissue on top of the problem. If the problem is down here, you should push through the surface in multiple directions and physically break it
This
all
is
up.
what you refer to as three-dimensional.
Three-dimensional pressure. It's never just gliding across the top. Think of this and a massage as two totally different things. Massage is great. It has very effective purposes for other things. But if you have deeply complex three-dimensional tightness deeply embedded inside of that muscle, the most effective way to break it up is to go right in multiple directions and physically force it to stretch. I think of my therapy more as a stretch than a massage. We're not stretching apart, we're stretching in.
Okay, so Delos therapy then is just working on the muscles, the tired muscles or sleeping muscles or whatever. But you don't work with the joints, right?
We do.
That's you
Well,
do
the
too?
muscles cross over joints.
All right.
So imagine a bunch of muscles over a joint.
Because I'm thinking of
tightening.
arthritis.
Right, so we're not going to be able to reverse arthritis, right? Arthritis is degenerative changes in the joint, right? We can't do that. We can get another specialist to help with that. But what we
Okay.
can do, think about this. You have a joint that's supposed to move and articulate. And the muscles go around the joint so the joint can move. But as those muscles get tighter and tighter and tighter, it can cram that joint together. That will cause far more wear and tear of that joint. But if we can loosen up the joint, or loosen up the muscle tissue to create some space,
Yes.
that will relieve some of the associated symptoms of arthritis. And I see it all of the time.
I got you. Very interesting. So I think, Eric, you should have more time to talk and lecture about this all over. But
That's the plan. We want to. We love lecturing. We love talking about it. As far as like formal training goes, we only train employees, but we actually go all over the place talking about it and lecturing because we want people to understand what they can do because most people are feeling stiff.
about training people, where do they go if they're interested to be trained in this Delos therapy?
Yeah, on our website, if you go to delostherapy.com, we have a career section where people can
Career.
apply to have a career with Delos. And the training is extremely extensive.
And for treatment itself.
Treatment itself, also Delos Therapy. There's an inquiry. where you can email us and give us your symptoms, and we'll talk to you and we'll explain the treatment plans. We have 25 or 50-minute treatments where patients come in and we get them on a very specific plan, and in a few weeks we get you back to feeling normal.
How much do you charge per treatment?
Typically, we do them in packages of 12. So there's a bunch of science and data to support why we treat our patients 3 times a week for 4 weeks. Okay? The main reason, in a simple example, is if you want a muscle to grow or you want a muscle to get strong, what do? You go to the gym a couple times a week. So muscles, they respond to that frequent stimulation. It's the same idea when we're trying to loosen a muscle. When you loosen muscles, in about 48 hours, there's a retightening cycle. So you have to stay ahead of that. So we put every patient on 3 times a week for 4 weeks. We want to break it up, but prevent it from going back. So week by week by week, we're physically changing the structure of the muscle and getting it back to normal. And we achieve that most of the time. So it's over 4 weeks. The 25-minute sessions are $49 each. So it's $594 for the 12 sessions. And if you have multiple areas, a lot of people, their shoulders, their back, their knees, their feet, everything hurts. We'll do it all at once. That's a 50-minute session. Those are $94 a piece, so it's $11.28. So $594 and $11.28.
Do you accept insurance?
We do not. Because it's a completely new therapy, it's innovative, it doesn't fall under the category of physical therapy or massage or chiropractic. There's no code to define the therapy. We're working towards it. That's a very long-term project. So right now, there's no way to bill insurance. We have a lot of patients that use their health savings and flex spending accounts. So that's a common practice, but right now, that's the best that we can do.
Do you accept term payments?
We can let patients split it up into 2 payments. We don't really advertise that, but everybody will do it. So we're now advertising it, so that's fine. But we can help patients out with that. We work with our patients. We want to fix them. We don't want the cost to be prohibitive to be able to fix them.
Very, very interesting. I really enjoyed talking to you today, Eric, but our time is up. Too
Well, thank
bad.
you for having me. I hope that your viewers enjoy it.
You know.
Please come in and see us. If you're feeling stiff and you're not getting better with your current regimen, I know we can help you. Our initial evaluations, they're $30. You can come in and talk to us, and we'll talk you through everything, and you don't have to commit to anything at all.
Great, terrific, Eric. What is your position in your company? Are you the
I'm
president?
co-founder.
Co-founder.
Yeah. Am I?
Eric
Yeah, thank you.
Owens, co-founder of Delos Therapy.
Thank you.
And I really enjoyed talking to you today. I want to invite you back.
Thank you.
And I hope you also enjoyed this interview with Eric and you learned something about your muscle pain. And maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Ako po si Veronica. At enjoy the rest of your weekend.